Michael Wilson, and this is
James Lloyd,
and we're the developers at Ponywolf behind the new early access title SKIPCHASER. Actually comes out today, so James and I thought we would sit down and play through the first level, maybe two, and give everybody an idea of where our heads are at, what we've put in since our private beta testing, and maybe some ideas of what our plans are for the future. So,
director's commentary.
Director's commentary,
if you will.
It's perfect.
You can play the game and play the audio in the background.
Yeah.
Is that?
I think there are games that do that where they have like people talk as like audio cues inside.
I think Left 4 Dead may have done that. Maybe.
But so let's go ahead and get started. So we've actually been pretty lucky that we've had a fair amount of Let's Plays of the game from private beta testers, as well as a couple reviews that came out yesterday on various blogs. And I think there's a common consensus that it doesn't suck. I think it's tough with early access games when you don't quite have the full vision of what people want to do. Kind of say, oh, well, this doesn't work and that doesn't work. And I think people who have done reviews of the game and Let's Plays have been, I think, more than generous in knowing that, we're trying to make a game where community input is super important to us. Getting a lot of different balance effects, set up correctly, and making the game fun is important. So, so kudos to everybody who's helped us play test so far. James is steering the ship here, and basically what we're trying to do in this level is just a little bit of a tutorial, and I think we'll end up expanding this to put in a little bit more of what's going on in the game. I mean, right now we're introducing you basically to one mechanic, which is your gun overheats. So if you shoot, you can actually shoot these little rats in the pin here. If you keep shooting, you'll notice that there's a little heat bar in the upper left-hand corner. It'll show that your gun is warming up. And if it ever gets to the top, then you have actually a cooldown on that weapon. Switching weapons will give you a 50% bonus on that cooldown, so you can switch back and forth to kind of cool that weapon off. But other than that, for now at least, they share the same cooldown methodology just to keep you from rapidly going between weapons that you collect.
And let me know if I'm going too fast.
No, I think you're fine. No, I just say keep playing. We'll figure out what's going on. So the town level is basically the hub, for our missions. So, we've gotten a little bit of feedback that the initial missions sound very video gamey, and I will promise you there's a reason for that. In the grander story, we have some very traditional RPG style missions: clear my basement out from rats, go save the baby in the well, go find the evil villain of this town who's
that old baby in the well trope.
The baby in the well trope that have you not played an RPG game with a baby in the well? I will promise that that's not the extent of what we're thinking about for the story, but in this Act 1 of 3 acts, we're trying to set up the fact that you're tasked to do these missions, and you have very little control over what the missions are and how they're set up. Now we're in one of the randomly generated levels of the game. We did end up writing our own code to build roguelike maps. We wanted something that was a little bit more arena feeling, a little extra space. They're also somewhat vector-based rather than tile-based, so the rooms get drawn first and then we kind of outline them, and this gives us the ability to do some pretty interesting level types as we move on. There are little tile sets for the walls and stuff. That's awesome. There's grenades everywhere. It was a control rundown, twin stick shooter, so you can play it mouse, WASD, or you can play with Xbox, PlayStation controller, Game's PC and Mac, so also there's a really cool Steel Series controller that we've played the game with. Oh, that guy's shooting through the walls. It's kind of funny.
Was it just where the physics are, you think?
Yeah, I think he's at that edge, so the physics isn't there, so he can kind of launch that piece. So anyway, yeah, a lot of the stuff that we built for this this game is kind of custom, and that's going to give us a little bit more control over it as we go down the line. Right now, you're really looking at 3 basic enemy types. You have the rats, kind of fast, direct damage. You have the robots, kind of slow. They explode on death. And then you have the, I think of the class, we call them are bad guys, and they're kind of modeled more after you. They have that very strong weapon. And then we have 2 boss characters in the game that you'll see as we move forward. Well, actually, you probably won't see in this video. You see if you get the game and play it. One of the other cool pieces is, we actually designed most everything in the game is a piecemeal of parts that get randomly assembled. So you'll see, these robots all have the same kind of triangle symbol on the front, and that's just kind of a random setup that will change color. You'll see a different robot there. So these robots are all kind of put together. Nice, James.
Thanks. I baited them.
And when the robots blow up, these robots give off fire damage, so they actually kind of set every different one on fire, and that's part of our elemental system, which is in its infancy right now, so you can certainly blow things up that catch other things on fire. You'll take damage if you're caught on fire. You'll take a little bit of damage. There's also poison damage, which we call bio damage. And then there's cryo or freeze damage, which will actually slow you down, and does somewhat slow down the other characters, but most of the characters in the game are at their minimum walking speed. Yeah, grenades.
Wasting grenades right now.
Well, and we've heard it too. I mean, grenades right now aren't the most useful. James is on fire. Grenades aren't the most useful thing right now, and we're trying to get that figured out of, maybe keeping the grenades on screen, reducing their throw rate a little bit, maybe making them explode a little bit faster.
Yeah, we used to have them bumping into the enemies, but...
Yeah, we turned that off just because you could get them kind of pushed back at you, and where you think it would loft over an enemy, it was kind of bouncing back. So we know we have some work to do there, and that certainly will make it onto the roadmap. Let's go. Let's talk about chests. So one of the other key features of the game is there's obviously loot chests inside the game, but instead of dropping weapons, kind of full bore weapons, they'll drop pieces of weapons or health or grenades, other things. If we die here or finish this level, we'll go and check out the weapons workbench and kind of show that piece off. But for the most part, it's a pretty typical roguelike shooter here. We opted, you have to go all the way around. We opted not to go for bullet hell, where the bullets were slow, a lot of rolling and dodging and things like that. We wanted a little bit more of a Diablo-like experience, space Diablo, for lack of a better term. Basically to have you set up your weapon and armor loadout, which we don't have armor in this build yet, but we will, and go in and kind of trade damage. So here's our first kind of boss level in the game.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Oh boy is right.
Oh goodness.
And we died. So let's talk about this real quick. So, in a roguelike game, typically, I don't know, some games go switch back and forth between permadeath or, some sort of penalty. And in our situation, this is what credits do. So you've collected all those coins during the game. You can spend these coins kind of restart the current level. So that's uplink here, which will restart the level that you're on. You can uplink to mission, which is the one in the middle, which will put you back in the town right at that mission, and then you can uplink to the ship for free. Let's go ahead and uplink to the ship.
Sure.
And what uplinking to the ship, and in the game, this will be kind of the first time that you see the ship, is either when you die or you complete the first set of missions. This will put you back in the ship. The ship has a little bit of health in it. Also has the weapons workbench. Once you get to the weapons workbench, I'll steer.
Okay.
What happens inside the game is as you unlock those pieces, they become available in the weapons workbench, where you can go in and you can use the mouse or the joystick at this point in time, but to kind of build your own custom gun, and by dropping in different pieces on it, you'll get different effects. And so these gray pieces at the bottom are kind of placeholder pieces. They don't actually do anything to your damage or anything, but taking these other pieces off and dropping them on will affect things like accuracy goes up. And then some of them are hidden. We don't necessarily show you all the different pieces that can happen. So there's visibility, there's cooldown effects, things like that. And we're currently working on doing some cards that'll show you different attributes beyond just kind of the ones that you're most interested in, how much damage it's doing, what the accuracy is, what the rate of fire. Weight here is basically how slow you walk carrying the gun, and then there's also a penalty when you shoot. When you switch blueprints, actually, you'll notice that the damage and stuff for that blueprint changes, as well as being able to put these pieces back on. And some pieces can share between the two guns. So I put this sight on. It can be in both blueprints. Eventually in the game, what'll happen is as you unlock the pieces, they'll unlock. When you unlock a piece for a second time, you'll get a Mark II version of that piece, Mark III, Mark IV, Mark V. And so that way the gun can level up, and you put it in. The bonus, which we haven't talked about anything with that yet, the bonus will be a specific random bonus that's applied to a gun based on some sort of random recipe value. So if you put in all the right components, and that makes a rare combination of the gun, then that gun will have a particular bonus, and you'll be able to take a screenshot, post it out on Steam, and say, hey, this combination that we're looking at right here has a very particular bonus associated with it.
Will there be recipes for that, or is it going to be randomized?
It's going to be completely random as far as we know right now. So we're not going to know what the recipes are. We'll have one random number seed that generates the recipes, and then it'll be up to everybody to kind of find them. And so that's going to take a lot of balancing. But right now we're thinking maybe every 1 in 1,000 combination produces a rare item. And then it's up to you to find those different pieces, put those rare items together to get some sort of bonus. Also the screen doesn't show cryo, bio, and pyro effects, so our fire, poison, and freeze effects. And we'll have some sort of fancy chart that will show that stuff off. And some of these effects are working in the game, some aren't. And for the purposes of putting together this early access piece, we wanted to give people guns that they could go around and shoot and kill things with, and not have to worry about completely building their weapon up. So we may have some more of intro or more kind of level 0 kind of things that will let you play the game before you have to get into doing this particular crafting stuff.
Yeah, when you start the game, your gun might feel kind of clunky, but that's a little bit on purpose. You just have to keep collecting those pieces, and then you can cut through enemies like hot butter.
Yeah. We're even, some of the great feedback that we've gotten on the message board so far is maybe the pieces have their own unique uses. So you may collect a piece that, causes a single shot, or a piece that when you hold down the trigger, it charges up your shot. And so those will happen in those pieces. So, if we go back to remembering, hey, we died. So what happens now is we're still stuck at the same mission. And really the goal, I think that we have here is to really treat each one of these missions like its own separate kind of roguelike experience. So we're trying our best to put together tile sets for each one of these mission types. We'll eventually have enemy classes, or at least enemy looks, that will correspond to what your correspond to what kind of level you're in, if you're underground, if you're outdoors, things like that. And we're constantly building tweaks to our roguelite randomly generated levels to give them kind of different looks and feels as well. Yeah, can't be too close to those.
Just getting excited.
Yeah,
just
to those
Rambo
robots.
in my way
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much it. I think we've run through a lot of the stuff that's in the early access. If you guys choose to support us, that's great. If you don't, add us to your wish list or follow the game and maybe give some input on the art style. I mean, I really do just think that we have, particularly from a look and feel standpoint, something that looks and feels way different than a traditional roguelike shooter. That has a lot to do with James's artwork. It's gorgeous, amazing.
It's got a good soundtrack.
That's right. We should shout
more
out
music coming.
Shout out to VXVX, which is the solo act that is putting together the soundtrack for this. So if you like the song, not the title track song, which is placeholder, but the songs in the town and on the spaceship, those are done by VXVX and just sound amazing and really add to the thing. We're working on actually a 6-song, kind of EP, as well as sonic landscapes and things like that. And for sure, there'll be some sort of soundtrack edition coming out for that. Get my little low battery warning on my nice little MacBook Air. And which something else I guess I can mention is we're actually playing this on a 6 or 7 year old MacBook Air. And so frame rate and gameplay are pretty much spot on. We're recording the whole screen and the audio as well as playing the game. So system requirements are pretty low to kind of have this little 2D on 3D experience.
Should we talk about what we're working on next, or is that under wraps? That secret?
Well, I think we should talk about how we talk about what we're working on next, at least, right? So, our plan is every 2 weeks to release some sort of update, and also update our devlog, which these videos can be a part of as well sometimes. We'll post what our roadmap is, next pieces that we're working on, and we'll have, at least some sort of discussion out on Steam forums that will allow people to kind of give input. Hey, should we work on the armor crafting next, or should we work on 3 or 4 new enemy types, or work on enemy AI? I mean, all that stuff lives on the roadmap. The big question is what's the next piece that we're going to be spending our time against? So we're a small team, so we have 4 people, and we work on multiple different projects. You're going to take it again, aren't you?
Oh my goodness. I blew it.
No, and actually we made that level easier, and it's still pretty tough. So, and again, spending those coins uplinking to here allows you to play that mission over again, so you can kind of collect your wits, learn a little bit about that. And that's part of the clone backstory of SKIPCHASER.
I'm going to do it safe. Oh, nope.
Yeah, as soon as they get line of sight on you, they're there.
I have no grenades. Do I? Oh, I'm pushing the wrong buttons, I think.
No, you're... you got some... You have to point in the direction, though.
One day I'll figure our game out, I think.
Awesome. Yeah, so, it's possible. It is possible to beat this level. So anyway, that's it from us, and hope you enjoy playing SKIPCHASER, and give us some feedback on the forums.
Goodbye.
Bye.